All right, guys. So no fight recap today. Obviously, because today is Thursday. Where are we at right now? We are June 13th. Yeah, June 13th, right? And honestly, I did like overnight. Went to sleep. Woke up. Bam! Breaking news. Khamzat Chimaev is out for next week's main event in Saudi Arabia in Riyadh. And immediately the first thing I thought of was I'm officially done with this guy. I'm done with him. I don't care that he has an illness, that he was violently sick, that what Dana White was saying. I don't care that Khamzat, was going to fight but can't fight too many times. This is too many times in the UFC that he has pulled out of fights, either hasn't been able to make weight, this, that, and the other. Alright? Too many chances. See, if you are an employer and you got an employee who you see has great potential, right? Khamzat Chimaev has great potential, and you're giving this guy every opportunity, right, to excel, to exceed even the expectations that you even have for this person, right? And the one thing that lacks with them is the most important component, which is availability. Because the best ability is availability, right? And if you can't even do that correctly, can't even show up on time, can't even be there for when it matters most, then how is it that right, if I'm the UFC, supposed to have faith in you? Because if we're going to run down Khamzat Chimaev's very, I would say, brief UFC career, because a lot of it has cancellations, right? Obviously, he ended up coming into the UFC around 2020, right? If I'm not mistaken. Yeah, 2020. July 15, 2020. Ended up facing John Phillips at 185 pounds. We already know what happens there. Shoots for a single leg, right? Beats the crap out of this guy for a round and a half. Goes into the second round, puts him in a DARS. All right, John Phillips has no chance of even defending himself. Gets that, goes on the mic saying that I'm willing to come back next week. I want to fight everybody. I want to kill everybody, this, that, and the other, right? The following week, 10 days later, he fights. Was it 10 days or? Yeah, 10 days later, fights Rhys McKee. Rhys McKee doesn't even throw a punch. Khamzat runs, shoots for a single leg, drops into the floor, starts grounding and pounding him, gets him flatlined, and then starts beating him up as Rhys McKee cannot defend himself. I believe the discrepancy of punches was maybe 120 to 1, if anything. Maybe he landed one punch. I'm not 100% sure. And then obviously the UFC ended up having that crazy stat where Khamzat Chimaev only ate one punch, one clean punch, or whatever. Next, the UFC actually has something in the building, and he's actually building up what's it called, Stardom with people, right? And you have him come to the United States, which is very rare and very difficult with Khamzat Chimaev, right? And you have a press conference in September of 2020. That was the same night that Colby Covington fought Tyron Woodley, this, that, and the other. I can't remember every fight that was on that card. And Khamzat Chimaev ended up facing Gerald Meerschaert at 185 pounds. Mind you, Rhys McKee was at 170 pounds, so he was just flip-flopping back and forth. Khamzat Chimaev starts the fight with Gerald Meerschaert. No punches were thrown in the first opening seconds. You just see Khamzat just hunting down Gerald Meerschaert, and Gerald Meerschaert just feels the pressure that Khamzat is about to come at him with. Khamzat just, times it very well, throws one right hook, drops Gerald Meerschaert out cold to sleep. And we're like, you got to be kidding me. This is incredible. Khamzat Chimaev has this huge aura, has this huge ability to, he might just catapult himself at this rate to superstardom, in this rate, because We never seen something like this since like maybe like Conor or something of that nature, right? Wants to fight often, which is the best recipe on just trying to build up a star. Has a huge highlight reel, something that you can feed to casual fans, and you're like, all right, the UFC has something with this guy. Then this is where it starts to get a little bit tricky. Supposed to fight Leon Edwards. Unfortunately, never happened. They were going to put him on that December card. The last fight night of December of 2020. Couldn't go. Got COVID. That was going to be a huge, step for him because they had taken Leon Edwards off the rankings. Mind you, this is Leon Edwards, him being the title contender, not the champion. They removed him off the rankings because Leon did not want to fight him originally. He was like, why do I got to fight this dude who has no wins inside the top 10, let alone the top 15? And why am I going to sacrifice my ranking? He's just trying to get to a title. And the UFC didn't want him to get to where he was at because they didn't want Leon as champion. And we'll just say it as that, it's true. The UFC did not want Leon as champion. Kamaru Usman was champion. They wanted to set up a super fight where they can have passing of the torch. Kamaru Usman loses to Khamzat Chimaev, and then now you have this superstar Khamzat Chimaev. And the UFC usually gets whatever they want. They know how to matchmake these type of guys. Now, that doesn't happen. Not once, not twice, but 3 separate occasions. December 2020. Then you try to, expedite it for what's it called? The Abu Dhabi card, when they were like setting up multiple fights. I think they had like a Saturday, a Wednesday, and then another Saturday, and then it was the Conor card, right? They were trying to do Leon and Khamzat Chimaev on a Wednesday, right? Which is pretty unusual, but I was so for it, and I love that time period, right? Couldn't go, right? And then they tried doing it for March. I think they were trying to do it for the week after the Adesanya versus Blachowicz fight, right? Couldn't go, right? Then you do not see Khamzat Chimaev for 13 months. He fights Li Jingliang, right? Chinese fighter, welterweight, inside the top 10 at the time. Huge opportunity for Khamzat now that he physically wasn't able to fight Leon Edwards, which that would have been his biggest opportunity. Fights Li Jingliang, not even competition for him. Shoots for a single leg, drops him, flatlines him, punches the crap out of Li Jingliang multiple times, and then starts talking to Dana White, as he's beating him up. Fight is stopped, fight is over, and you get Khamzat that superstar treatment that he got from Abu Dhabi. Fast forward a couple months, and they actually get Khamzat to come to Jacksonville, Florida, of all places, right? That the Abu Dhabi card was in October. You got Khamzat to fight in April, right? So you're talking about 6 months. Okay. Very rare that we were able to get Khamzat to come to the States, right? Obviously, we know that it's very difficult for him to get a visa. Allegedly, he's not. Allegedly, that he's not allowed in the country under certain circumstances. And usually, the UFC has a pretty good pull when it comes to these type of things, where they can allow certain fighters to come into the country. Anyways, now you're fighting your biggest your biggest threat, which is Gilbert Burns, who I believe at the time was top 5 or top 3. I'm not 100% sure. Just already fought for the title. Lost to Kamaru Usman. Gave Usman his toughest test at that very moment, outside of the second toughest test, because Colby Covington actually came close, right? And the first Usman Colby fight was, to me, top 3 fights of all time. Khamzat faces Gilbert Burns, 3-round fight, and it was just a war. Khamzat is known for just going all out, all gas, no brakes, and stuff like that. And Gilbert was just taking it, and he was just eating up all these punches. And then in the halfway point of round 2 and round 3, Gilbert Burns was giving it to Khamzat. And honestly, it was one of the craziest 3-round fights of 2021. And honestly, like, that's when I saw Khamzat Chimaev has some type of vulnerability to him. His gas tank is his biggest issue. And many of us thought that if that was a 5-round fight, Gilbert Burns would have got him out of there. And that would have been a huge story. Now, he gets that victory. He has that underneath his belt. The UFC is now trying to catapult him to title contention. And they have a main event, a pay-per-view main event, between him and Nate Diaz. Unfortunately, we already know what that happens. Fight night comes. He tries to weigh in. He weighs 8 pounds over the welterweight limit. Doesn't care. Nate Diaz is like, I'm not fighting this dude. This guy's not even being professional. You know, it's understandable if you're off by 1 or 2 pounds, maybe, right? But 8 pounds is ridiculous. And he comes onto the scale, flipping off the media, giving them the middle finger, and didn't really care. So now with that crazy scenario where you mixed up the top 3 fights like in a charade type of order. All right. Originally, you were supposed to get Danny Rodriguez versus Kevin Holland. You were supposed to get Tony Ferguson versus Li Jingliang, and then you were supposed to have Khamzat Chimaev versus Nate Diaz. All right. You scramble all that together. Main event: Khamzat Chimaev. Nate Diaz versus Tony Ferguson. Co-main event: Khamzat Chimaev versus Kevin Holland for a 5-round fight, which never even came out of the first round. And then feature fight: Danny Rodriguez versus Li Jingliang. All right, which honestly, it kind of saved the card. Khamzat ended up running through Kevin Holland and just dominated him, and just laughed in front of everybody, saying that, hey, you know what? What's it called? I want the title shot next, which obviously never came to fruition. Now we don't see Khamzat for another 13 months because he doesn't fight in the States. Was supposed to fight Paulo Costa on for the Abu Dhabi card in 2023. Doesn't happen because Paulo, I think, had like staph infection or something of that nature. Inputs Kamaru Usman, right, at 185 pounds. Kamaru Usman's middleweight debut. And I'm like, oh man, this is gonna be good because Kamaru was a problem at 170 pounds. You're giving him now 15 pounds extra to work with, right? And we've already seen how Chimaev had difficulties against somebody that was a Gilbert Burns stature, all right? And Kamaru just ran through him after that one knockdown at 170 pounds. Now this is something that I'm very interested about. And you saw Khamzat, same thing, all gas, no brakes, take down Kamaru Usman, tries to get him out of there in round 1, gasses out in the halfway point of round 2, and is on E, right? And trying to survive all of round 3. And once again, the cardio issues is still there. Somehow, Khamzat survives and beats Kamaru Usman. And many of us came out there saying that, hey, he still has very bad cardio, right? Because if you can survive the onslaught for at least 1 round, or maybe 2, you can get yourself out of there. And Kamaru Usman had even said it himself, if that was a 5-round fight, I would have got him out of there very easily. All right. It's just that initial start of the fight, that's what you got to deal with the most. If you can survive that, then you can survive anything. And then obviously Khamzat was supposed to fight next week against Robert Whittaker, which if he would have defeated Robert Whittaker, he would have gotten a title shot. And now, because of that opens up the possibility for Sean Strickland to get a rematch if Dricus du Plessis is not able to come to fruition in fighting Israel Adesanya. And I don't know. It's just right now this is very difficult for the UFC. As a fan of Khamzat Chimaev, I am officially done. I am officially done with this guy. Ikram Aliskerov will be fighting Robert Whittaker. I don't know if Robert Whittaker can handle Ikram Aliskerov. That guy's a problem. And I know a lot of sharp bettors are trying to find out the perfect time to fade Ikram Aliskerov. I don't think next week is the time to fade Ikram Aliskerov. I think Ikram Aliskerov is just destined to hold the title because nobody wants to fight this guy. Nobody wants to fight this guy. So I will say this. Khamzat Chimaev, if he cannot fight again sometime this year, that's it. The UFC got to pull out on trying to shoot this guy to the moon. I understand that he has, superstar talent, all right, and he can be your biggest cash cow for the Middle East and stuff like that. But I will say this: Khamzat Chimaev, the best ability is availability. The best ability is availability, and he is not available for a lot of these things. And even in the Middle East, he still cannot show up. There's always something with him: visa issues, illnesses, stomach problems, you name it. All right. Moving on forward, let's see what happens. If I'm Khamzat Chimaev, just put me on that damn France card against Nasruddin Imavov, and let's make some noise over there. Until then, guys, I am Flavio Oriana, and I will see you guys next time. Peace, guys, and have a good one.